Explore. Explore shows up total of 12 times in the new defense policy update. 9 of those are promises. Given that it has been about 7 years since the last publication of Strong, Secure and Engaged, what have you and the ministry been doing the entire time?
Actually, we've been delivering from the Canadian Armed Forces just in the last 2 years alone. We've completed contracts for over 100 aircraft, for example, that the Royal Canadian Air Force required. That's the largest and most significant delivery of capability for our Canadian Armed Forces since the Second World War.
Can you acknowledge how much of the Strong, Secure and Engaged has yet to be spent?
I don't know. A question perhaps better put to our finance people.
Okay, in fact,
but for example,
yeah.
We've signed contracts for multi-mission aircraft, the Poseidon 8s, that will all be delivered in 2026. That's SSE money that will be spent in total.
Okay, so let's talk lapsed funding then. So D&D funding keeps lapsing despite you specifically promising that it's not going to. Can you acknowledge that or talk to that?
Perhaps I can help you with a better understanding of what lapse is. If it takes time. No, but it doesn't mean it's gone. I think that's what we need to be clear. It doesn't mean the money just somehow disappears. It's if the contract can't be completed in one fiscal year and goes over our fiscal year, the department's able to lapse it and then apply it into the following fiscal year to complete that contract. So lapsing is, I think, a reflection of sometimes how long our procurement processes and delivery processes, and that there's many factors that could be associated to that, and we could talk about them individually if you like.
Lapsed funding has been repurposed.
What's that?
How much lapsed funding has been repurposed?
Well, again, a question better asked of our finance people, but certainly in my experience, the money that couldn't be spent in one fiscal year is being quickly applied into expenditure the following year as contracts come online.
Okay, maybe I can acknowledge a comment from, respectfully, General Eyre with regards to $8.1 billion overall being committed by the government to defence spending over the next 5 years falls short of the NATO commitment. You mentioned in your opening remarks that the DPU is a comprehensive new plan and we need to do more and we will meet the moment. Can you address how that is meeting the moment?
We're making very significant new investments in defense. We're spending money as efficiently and effectively as is possible, given our existing procurement processes. We're also re-examining our procurement processes to make them better fit for purpose and to meet the moment, as I've said. We're working with our allies and with industry. We've listened to them very carefully. They told us what they needed in order to hold up their end of ensuring that we can acquire, for example, the munitions and the ammunition that our armed forces require, the battle decisive ammunition. We've heard them. We've budgeted the money. We're now able. We have the resource that they said they needed to invest in their industry, but also to offer them long-term contracts.
Okay, thank you. Also, in the promises in the DPU, we will streamline the security clearance process to reduce the time it takes for new recruits to move into their positions. If I recall correctly, last year, General Eyre suggested that the CAF has more than enough applicants. The issue is in processing. They're not being screened quickly enough. So what changes are expected to make this able to happen faster? How can we facilitate this?
I've got some great news on that. I was briefed just this past week on some great work that's being done by the Canadian Armed Forces and the Department of National Defence to digitize the application process. Canadians will be able to do it on their phones. That will not be better for the applicant, but it also provides a digital record of the application that will enable us to initiate processes far more efficiently in getting those security background checks done and to move through those applications. Frankly, if you don't go fast, we lose the opportunity.
So more specifically then,
opportunities.
How will this be speeding up screening work vis-a-vis security requirements, and how is this going to change, and will the screening be outsourced? I have a lot of questions because there's not a lot of clarity to this. Will other department security allowances transit over to the CAF? Will the requirements be lowered? Will CAF be prioritized over other departments when it comes to processing security clearances? What's this going to look like?
Yeah, a couple of things that I think can be very helpful there. First of all, we understand when someone's coming in for basic training and we're treating them how to march and to shoot and putting a uniform on them and deploying them into some pretty basic functions, they don't need the highest secret security clearances that can come later on in the process. Additionally, We recognize that the implementation of a probationary period, because one of the challenges, we don't want to onboard somebody who might represent a risk, but if we are able to determine the level of risk before we deploy them into a sensitive area, it just makes more sense to do it in a more efficient and timely way. One thing I want to assure Canadians and you is that we're not going to compromise our standards for members of the Canadian Armed Forces. We're just going to apply those standards far more efficiently so that we can onboard people who want to serve as quickly and efficiently as possible.
Thank you.
Ms. Graham-Nyman, Mr.